Let's see how old this one is as well. Oh, that's looking not good. Huh? Yeah, you're gonna need a new boiler. Good morning. Yes, it's 11:30. We are still morning. It is Monday, the 1st of September, which is, I say, the start of silly season, because as soon as September starts, things start going crazy, especially once the kids go back to school. Irene goes back to school on Wednesday, and I find that once the kids go back to school, all of a sudden, everyone's heating or hot water problems start to come out of the woodwork. Be prepared, it's coming. Stay strong up here, stay strong in here. Make sure your van is topped up with your breakdowns, your spares, things like that, so that you're not caught short. I might do a little short. I did a full video last year on how to survive silly season, but I might just do a little short or a few shorts and say, like, keep this on your van, keep this on your van, keep this on your van. Things that I generally find are useful. You might find it useful, you might not, but I'll see what I can do. But anyway, I'm not going to waffle on too long. This job that I'm here to do now is not one I'm looking forward to. It's the one where we've got the underfloor heating manifold behind the toilet, which means I've got to disconnect the toilet, I've got to pull the toilet out in order to get to the underfloor heating manifold, and there's a leak on it which I need to repair. And it's one of those jobs where, in theory, it's straightforward, because the toilet is not screwed down, it's just silicone round because you've got the underfloor heating pipework running underneath it. The isolation valve for the cold feed is accessible and it's on a push fit flexi, so I just got to pop it out, and the cistern is not silicone to the back, it's just 2 screws which I can pull out. So in theory, sounds all fine, yeah? But where I don't work on toilets, I don't like working on toilets, it makes me a little bit anxious. I've been sitting in the van here for probably the last, maybe I'd say 5 to 10 minutes, just psyching myself up, because it's just one of those jobs that I'm not looking forward to. And normally I would pass it on, a toilet job, to Josh, but it's related to a heating problem, which is my area of specialism. So I'm gonna stop being a wuss. I'm gonna go in there and know what I need to do. Let's just go and do it. Right, here we are. So you guys might remember this from the last video. Let me get some lighting on here. So there's a leak just after, you see where that red isolation valve has been isolated. So there's a leak just after that, but obviously there's no space to get to it. I did try, but I can't get my grips or anything around there. I was here a couple of weeks ago, so now I'm back here today. Gonna pull the toilet out. Luckily, like I said, the toilet's only 2 screws into this backboard, which I'll also need to remove to be able to get to that. Isolation valve for the toilet is just done there, so I've just isolated that, flush the toilet, going to use the wet vac, get all this out, and then pull the whole toilet forward, then start making a bit of access for the underfloor heating manifold, and then try and get that leak repaired. Toilet's out. I actually thought I got a little bit lucky because there's a flexi on there. I pulled it forward and moved it to the side and it stayed in, but to get this back unit out, now that was actually 2 pieces, but so these screws, it looks like, I don't know how it was screwed in from there. So I did a cut along the joint with a multi-tool, then I literally just had to hinge it like that, wiggle it off. So when that comes off, I'll have to redo another couple of screws, but there wasn't even any screw marks or anything like that. But anyway, now that we've got this off, the leak was coming from here. Now what happened was, when I did try to tighten it beforehand, it was doing this whole bush. So now I've got access here, so I can put a pair of grips in there, hold that in place, undo that connection there, and then see if it's just a washer or something that's perished. So this is the connection, which is actually hand tight, or hand loose even. Alright, let's see what's going on here. It actually doesn't even seem to, oh no, there is a washer. Is that a washer? Oh yeah, look.
completely crumbled. I have, yes, I've got a rubber one this time. Just make sure there's no, it's like it's completely disintegrated, completely perished. Like, there's not even a washer on that face anymore. Yeah. Okay. Well, that should just be a case of replacing that. We should be good. Right, let's use this rubber one. Obviously it's a little bit thicker. Is it too thick? That is the other question. Right, now it is definitely thicker. So now I just got to make sure I get this on straight. I don't want to cross thread. I haven't got any 1-inch fibre washers. Is that straight? Because normally you can feel if it's going on. You want to just catch onto the threads. Right, I'm just going to move the camera out of the way and make sure I get that on straight, and I'll come back and we'll test this. Moment of truth. Which one is that? 10 goes that way. Bloody tight. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, okay, that seems good. Open the bottom one. Oh, that's bloody tight as well. Let's get that one open. Okay. Right. Everything's open. Boiler pressure is fine. We are at about 1.2. So you can see the boiler. This is such a terrible installation. Boiler's there, filter, you might be able to see it, yeah. How on earth are you ever meant to do a service on this boiler? This was all installed by a builder. This is the other problem here. So obviously underfloor heating, all wired thermostats, they're just in this cupboard. So they're not actually controlling anything. So I spoke to the customer when I came the last time about changing these to wireless ones and changing that to a wireless wiring center. So then they can actually move the thermostats into each individual room and actually get dedicated control. Because what they're having to do at the moment is, in the winter, they just come in here, they have to leave these little cupboard doors open and they just put everything on max, because that's the only way it works, because there's so much heat generating in here that it's just not feasible. Well, it just doesn't work. So they have to put everything on max. But yeah, we're pressurized there. Got no leaks there, no leaks anywhere else, which I'm very happy with. Now, I've got to put the toilet back and make sure that we don't get a leak from here. So let's do that now. Right, moment of truth. It's looking good. Don't think I need to change the pan connector. Was that a full flush? Yeah, that was a full flush. It's not leaking, so that's good. Right, I'm gonna let that refill and flush it a few times whilst I put it back together. Now I can slide that in behind, pin it to there, screw the system back, and then we're out of here. Apologies about the wind noise. That actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. And I think sometimes that's what it takes. It just takes you to do that one job and it goes fine. Builds your confidence, because it's like I said, look, toilets, I don't really deal with them. I give them to Josh. But sometimes you've got to do what you got to do. At the end of the day, I am a plumbing and heating engineer. So as much as I don't really do much general plumbing, it's still within my job description. So if anyone out there feels the same way about certain jobs, what I would say is just go for it, because it's not until you do it that will build your confidence. For example, Worcesters. Everyone hates Worcesters. I used to be so scared of them before I started off doing this job, because all you hear is everyone scaremongering about Worcesters, but they're not so bad once you get used to them. And that's what it's about. It's just about getting used to doing the job, and then it's all fine. Right, camera's going off. I'm gonna have some lunch, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
But anyway, I'm working in that house. That's one I've got to go to. That is a Vaillant PCB that I need to replace. How do I know that? Because the customer sent me a picture and it says F64 on it. It looks like it's an old Ecotech Plus, so there may be other issues with it as well. Maybe the turret seal, maybe an AAV, I don't know. But I just parked up here to do this little video. Let's go inside. I'm gonna park up on the drive. Look, it's starting to rain again. All right, I'll see you guys inside.
Right, here we go. Ecotech Plus F64. Always carry one of these in the van. So like I've said to you guys, there's this one and you got the other one. I think it ends in 086. That's for the newer style ones. So always keep one of each of these. Let's get this board swapped out. Let's get the case open to make sure there isn't anything else that needs attention today. Let's see how old this one is as well. Oh, that's looking not good. Huh? Yeah, you're gonna need a new boiler. You're gonna look at the state of that. What's happened here? That's completely melted inside. Honestly, I've never seen a Vaillant in this bad of a state before. That's all melted.
Oh.
Look at all that.
Yeah, I can see.
Right, first and foremost, where's your fuse spur to kill the power? This might be behind this boxing. Was it down here? We've got that there. Got a lot of bits down here. Right, let me find the fuse spur, but bloody hell. Bloody hell. I've never, ever seen a boiler this bad before. You know what I say? For me, new boiler is always the last resort, and this is the last resort. And considering how old it is as well, 2005, 20 years old, so it's not even worth trying to repair it, because the amount of money you throw at it, there's probably just going to be other underlying faults and stuff. So yeah, this is going to be a dead duck. Right, so I've been called out to this one. It's a Vaillant heat only boiler, and they've been experiencing problems with circulation, potential blockage. There was a Vaillant engineer out here recently who's basically said, well, I'm not gonna get his name on here and his contact number just in case. Circulation issue, check D40, D41, flow temperature rising, but nothing on the return. Lots of air from the air vents, then stops with no water coming out. Possible cold feed to the system, not enough water, installer required. So that's what I'm here to do. I've got my trusty magnet. So first thing we're gonna do is, well, let's open up one of the air vents. So you can hear, yeah, there's water coming out of there. And that's hissing. Yeah, there's water coming out of there. We've got some water there. Apparently the system was flushed earlier this year. So I'm just gonna...
April.
Was it in April, did you say?
Yeah.
So apparently it's been flushed in April.
Yeah, 6 hours.
6 hours, okay, so that does sound like they spent a bit of time, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was done
And
correctly.
the other day that pump was
Yeah.
noisy.
The pump was noisy?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had never heard that before.
Right, no problem. What I need to look for right now is where is our cold feeding vent. That's our cold going up. We've got that coming down. I'm hoping that's not our cold. No, that is copper. So let's have a look at the airing cupboard, see if it's there, because normally you expect the cold feeding vent to be around where the pump is, but obviously that's not the case. And the reason why I'm suspecting those two are the cold feeding vent is because they're coming from up there. That's going to be our cold main.
I've got 2 tanks up there.
Yeah, you will do. You'll have one for your hot water and one for your heating system.
Does he need to?
Right, let's have a look at the airing cupboard, see if we've got a H section there anywhere. Right, airing cupboard doesn't really give me much. There's a cold feed there, the cold feed there, but there's no H section here, which I didn't think there would be. Let's try and bleed that. Okay, so we've got air in there, and there's water coming out of that. So I don't think it's a blocked cold feed because it is filling. It could potentially just be severely airlocked. I think let's run the boiler. Let's give it a demand, see what it does, and then hopefully that will give us a bit more. I'm pretty confident that's going to be our cold feeding vent, but it's just the fact that it just goes into the floor. That'll be a very, very awkward place to have the H section if it is under the floor. But I think let's give the system a demand and see what it does. Right, let's pop the heating on. Okay, I should feel, yeah, that's starting to motor over. Wait for the click. Let's open this up, see if it's been wired correctly in here first. I mean, I definitely think there's a wiring issue because firstly, we've got nothing on the boiler display. The boiler should always have a permanent live, and the switch live should tell it when to come on, and then obviously that pump should be wired into the pump terminals to make sure that it has the pump overrun. I'm going to hazard a guess that we are going to experience some issues with the wiring. So I'm going to start with the wiring center, not the wiring center, that 3-port. I'm going to test what powers I've got where, and then we can go from there. So if the heating is on, right now I should be getting power on the white. So let's, one on the earth. First thing, the 5-way has been wired correctly, as in terms of sequence, but let's now check. We've got earth to white, so we've got 230 on there, got 230 on that orange, and I've got 230 on that orange. Now if I turn the heating off, that should kill the power to the white. Yeah, we should have nothing on the orange. Okay, cool. And grey, we should be getting 240 because hot water's off at the moment. Good. Okay, so that side seems to be okay. Now let's see what's going on at the boiler side. Okay, never assume, because you know what happens when you assume. It has been wired correctly. I forgot that on these you can actually turn them off from here. As soon as I pressed that, it all came to life, because when I opened it up, everything has been wired in correctly. Pumps in there, into the pump terminals. We've got live, earth and neutral. I could hear it sort of buzzing with that ticking sound they get from the PCB. So I just pressed that and yeah, it fired up. Well, not fired up, it came to life. So now let's go back there. Let's put the heating demand on and see what the boiler does. Boiler has fired up and shut itself down very quickly. Just running the thermal imaging over it. So we are getting circulation through the pump. It then sort of disappears down there. And then when we come to the airing cupboard, you can see, so that's our flow, which is getting heat to it. The 3-port isn't passing because the hot water side is not showing any heat. And we are getting heat going down.
That's about 48 odd degrees. Let's check some of the radiators. We've got a radiator, where we've got a radiator. Radiator. Okay, look, we've got a teeny tiny bit of heat coming in from there. So that is about, well, that's reading 55 degrees. So there is heat coming in there. Let's check in here. Okay, so look, we do have heat in there as well. That one, is there any heat coming into this radiator? Seems to be coming in at the bottom there. And then, okay, I can't get to the radiator in here. That's fine. Okay. So we are getting heat to the radiators, which is a good sign. Boiler's fired up again. It's modulated down to a low flame, which is good. I'm going to go around bleeding all the radiators first, just to try and alleviate any air. And then potentially I could speak to them about sealing the system if it is just the fact that we're getting air in here. I'm also going to run the hot water coil in a moment as well and test that. So let me give this a few minutes and I'll come back to you guys and let you know what I think may or may not be the issue. Right, conclusion is, I can confirm that is the cold feed there and that's the vent pipe there, but we can't get to it in there. I am going to seal the system, go price it up. Cold feed is there, that's our cold mains, so I can cut that, put the filling loop on there. Expansion vessel on this wall, PRV straight out because we've got an external wall here, and then I could either feed back into there for the to pressurize the system, but I don't think I will, only because I reckon that's where that blockage is. But I've got a T somewhere here, so I can probably, well, T into it somewhere there and then cap off this whole cold feed and vent malarkey. So yeah, that's where we are at now. That was a really nice sort of end to that job. She's an elderly lady, she's 81 years old. She's had untold amounts of problems with her system. I've been recommended and I haven't even done anything yet. I've just sort of diagnosed the issue and given her options. And she just shy of broke down into tears saying to me, I'm so happy like you're here, like you've done more than what anyone else. I'm not saying this to blow my own trumpet or anything. You guys know that I just like to do a thorough job, as thorough a job as I can. And I think it shows when people appreciate that. I don't feel I've done anything yet. I've just given advice and suggestions, but she wouldn't let me leave without giving me a hug. She hugged me twice and she's like, I could see her eyes were welling up and she's like, I'm so happy you came. I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you've got answers to my problems. And I'm like, it's really not, to me, obviously it's not that big of an issue, but to her, I think it is. And I really want to help her out. I really want to try and sort things out for her. I gave her a ballpark figure to seal the system and she said, that's cheap. Now, I know some people would take that and be like, ooh, no. It's not about fleecing off the elderly or the vulnerable. If someone says it's cheap, it means in their head, they were thinking, or they've been ripped off before, or they were thinking this is going to cost an arm and a leg. But it shouldn't do. I said to her, I'll work out the exact cost, but it's not going to cost you thousands to seal the system with the materials and everything. And she said, yeah, oh wow. When she first said, oh wow, and I was like, oh, is that going to be too expensive? She's like, that's cheap. I was like, well, it's not a massive job. I just want to get it done because I want to make it work for her as well. So stay tuned. I will be back here and I'll update you guys soon.